DraftKings now has the Baltimore Ravens as the favorite to land Davante Adams. What does this mean? We're also diving into some AFC North conversations. The Ravens are now in first place. Lamar Jackson is on pace for his third MVP. He should pass Cam Newton in rushing yards this Sunday. And then we'll end today's episode taking a bit of a peek towards a highly anticipated matchup this Sunday between the Ravens and Commanders. All that and more in today's episode of The Flock Rundown.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of The Flock Rundown. If you're looking for the Ray intro, I'm going to throw it at the end of the episode. I'm just trying some new things. There's been a lot of people who wanted me to jump right into the content, and I know the Ray intro takes up a chunk of time, so I threw it at the end because I don't want to get rid of it. And I might just throw it back in the beginning if there's not much of a change or if you guys don't enjoy this style better. But I did want to just jump into the content today and give it a try. So let's dive into this Davante Adams news that's been the talk of the NFL for the most part. The Jets just fired their coach today, which is crazy, and the Raiders don't expect Davante Adams to play ball for them anymore, so I'm expecting a trade to get done in these next few days. I was not expecting the Ravens to be involved really at all, maybe call and check in to see if it's kind of a steal, but if they're not taking up any of the contract or if we got to give up a top pick for a rental, it just doesn't make sense to take on that risk. But DraftKings has the Ravens as the favorite to land Davante Adams. I don't know if they're trying to bait some bets or if they know something we don't, but the Ravens are plus 125. Next closest is the Jets at plus 175, and then a huge difference, Saints plus 600, Commanders plus 800, and so on. So the Ravens and Jets seem to be the leaders according to DraftKings. Now, there's a lot of sports books out there. They all have different odds, but the fact that the Ravens are creeping up in a lot of these sports books and are kind of the favorite is surprising to me. And I don't want to read into it too much because I feel like I know this team and I feel like they're not going to take on this trade. But this is a team that is ready to win right now. The Ravens can win the Super Bowl this year. They are a true contender. I think that they've definitely proven that over the first 5 weeks. I know they got off to a slow start being 0-2, but those were close games. We blew the lead in the Raiders game. It's not like we didn't look like we belonged or anything. And then these last 3 weeks, we've been on a 3-game winning streak. Just want a shootout in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's offense probably playing their best ball, and our offense was matching it in a style that a lot of people were questioning we wouldn't be able to do. We were a run-dominant team. I still think we're a run-dominant team. That's the identity, but clearly Lamar and the entire offense, Todd Monken, showed that we are able to win through the air when needed. If you want to continue to bring constant blitzes, if you want to run a lot of cover zero, if you want to stack the box and try and slow down the run, we're going to attack you in different ways. And adding a player of the caliber of Davante Adams, I mean, we've never had a wide receiver of that caliber in Baltimore. It would truly put this offense over the top. I still am questioning whether the Ravens would take on that kind of commitment. From what I'm reading, it seems like the Raiders aren't willing to pay any of Davante Adams' salary, and they're trying to unload him for a second-round pick. Good luck doing that. He's got a huge cap hit, and at this point, he's a rental. There's no guarantee that he doesn't get cut or that an extension gets done because his next 2 years aren't really guaranteed, so you can just cut him and get out of this contract. But you don't want to give up a second-round pick for a guy that you're not planning to extend. So I think that if someone does trade for Davante Adams, they got to have that extension in mind. And it just seems unlikely that the Ravens would want Davante Adams at a pretty decent cap hit for the next 3 years because that extension is not going to be cheap. Davante Adams is worthy of a big deal. He is not going to take a small deal or anything like that. So while you can definitely manipulate the numbers, the Ravens just don't have a lot of flexibility. They got a lot of huge contracts on the way. Tyler Linderbaum, Kyle Hamilton, Odafe Owe if they decide to do that. There's some big deals on the table, and I feel like extending Davante Adams would definitely interrupt one of those deals, but if we can make it work, let's make it work, man. Let's do it. I feel like this is talent that is unguardable, and would truly make us an unstoppable offense. Kind of already feel like we're a pretty unstoppable offense, and that's not me being naive. It's just we proved that we can win through the air last year. We just proved it again in Cincinnati. Lamar looks better than ever. Todd Monken's calling great, smart games. They have a really good answer to the blitz, and we're also able to run the ball with dominant fashion. But I also look at it from this perspective. Are we going to stay healthy the entire year? Is that receiver room not going to have any injuries? Because if we have any injuries at the top, it's a pretty thin room. You know, we don't really want to be in a position where we're relying on Tylan Wallace or Nelson Aguilar to be out there the whole game and rely on them to make consistent plays. And it's not that they can't contribute. Those are solid players, but that's not a Davante Adams. You know what I mean? That's not even a Zay Flowers or a Rashad Bateman. So if we lose a Zay or a Rashad for any extended period of time, I just feel like it'd be really nice to have another go-to guy. So I'd be more than happy to welcome Davante Adams to Baltimore. I don't think we'd give up a second unless we definitely have an extension in mind, but it would be a hell of a trade, man. It'd be so fun to watch this offense with Davante Adams. Moving on to the AFC North, every team lost in the division except Baltimore, so now we are tied for first place with the Steelers. What a turnaround. We were just 0-2 in the bottom looking up at the top, you know. Steelers were undefeated, and now it's all turned around, and we're both 3-2. The Bengals are 1-4. The Browns are 1-4. And it really sheds light on how massive that Ravens win over the Bengals was, because if the Bengals win that game, it's a dogfight. We're all kind of lumped back up in there. Cincinnati's right back in contention for the division. But the fact that we beat them, we now have essentially a 3-game lead. I know we play them again, but we have a 3-game lead on Cincinnati at the moment because we own the tiebreaker as well. So Ravens really getting some separation. I don't think the Steelers are going to continue having a dominant record. So right now, the division, in my opinion, is the Ravens to lose. Now, we still got to play all of our division opponents. We know that those are never easy games. These Steeler games are going to be low scoring and dog fights, even though their offense shouldn't match our offense. It just seems to always happen that way, and it's just a really tough game. So we might split with them or the Browns, and we might be looking at it a little bit of a different situation. But as it stands right now, through week 5, entering week 6, the Ravens are in great position. So feeling pretty good about the division. Also excited for that AFC North Hard Knocks in December. I think that's going to be super exciting. I'm not sure if they're filming all season long and they're just going to start playing the episodes in December, or if they start filming around December or around the end of the year and then show them. If you know, let me know in the comments. But I think that's going to be really entertaining, man. I know the Ravens don't like being on camera a lot and stuff, but that is going to be an entertaining series, especially since the Ravens are involved. I'm definitely going to be watching every second of that Hard Knocks. And getting back to the Ravens having the most multiple offense that we've ever seen them have, this is a jaw-dropping stat that I came across, but the Ravens are second all-time through the first 5 weeks since the merger, so since 1970, not all-time, but the Ravens are second in rush yards differential. So since the merger, the Ravens right now through 5 weeks have the second largest rush yards differential. The only team that has better, and it's only by 4 yards, is the 1984 Chicago Bears. We know how dominant that defense was during that era, but essentially rush yards differential, if you don't know, is how much rush yards the defense is letting up compared to how many yards you're rushing, and then that differential creates that number. So we have a 754-yard rush differential, and that is by far first in the NFL. So we have the best run defense and the best run offense. And this is definitely an impressive number, but it's more than just a number. It's your ability to control games. And our secondary's definitely got to tighten up. I know they will. They're way too talented. It's not a scheme issue. We're just not playing great right now in the secondary, and we're really getting beat by these elite wide receivers and elite quarterbacks. It will get fixed, I'm sure of it. Mike McDonald had this same rocky start, not last year, but his first season. So, I mean, it's not a shocking surprise that our defense is not super locked in. We're also giving a lot of responsibility to guys like Nate Wiggins, who's getting beat on some balls. Just he's a rookie, man, you know, like he's uberly talented. This guy's going to be a superstar this guy's going to be a star in the league. He's going to be the Ravens CB1. There's no doubt in my mind. But as a rookie, you're just not going to play perfect ball. You're going to get beat. You're going to get stuck in the mud thinking. And there's some of that. Our safety play's not great right now. There's a lot of variables going on, but it will get fixed. And then when that's merged with this dominant of a run defense, you're going to see a really dominant defense altogether. And then running the ball like we do, you're just going to be able to control games. If you can hold teams to a low amount of points and you can run at the rate that we can, you're dominating games. You're going to control the time of possession. The other offense is not going to be able to be airing it out. They're not going to get a lot of opportunities. This is the recipe to just have a dominant season. And this rush yards differential showcases that and the potential of that. I think the only thing leaking that and keeping these games closer is our secondary right now. If our secondary tightens up, you're going to see some blowouts. Let's keep Lamar rolling on his way to his third MVP, which right now I would say he's definitely the leader. There's a long season left, so who really knows? I don't really care that much if Lamar gets his third MVP. I definitely would rather have a Super Bowl, but if Lamar can get a third MVP on the way there, a back-to-back MVP, that really just cements his dominance in the NFL and just his importance to the Ravens, and also getting a Lombardi on top of that just makes him one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play, man. Makes him the best dual threat quarterback to ever play. He's actually going to pass Cam Newton this Sunday in rushing yards, and then most likely, as long as he continues this pace, he is going to pass Michael Vick this season for the most rushing yards by a quarterback ever in NFL history, and Lamar Jackson is only 27 years old. So he's going to blow these numbers out of the water, and it's no doubt in anyone's mind that he already is, but will definitely be the greatest dual threat quarterback to ever play football. And that's a crazy statement, but it's true, man. It's hard to deny. It's hard to argue. And now with the development of Lamar's arm and his ability to read defenses and make adjustments, year after year, you're seeing him get better and better at that. And like I said, he's only 27 years old. That arm's going to improve. That mind is going to improve. Even when he gets into his 30s and maybe he slows down a little bit, Lamar's never not going to be athletic, Like Lamar in his 30s is probably going to still be one of the best running quarterbacks in the league. I just think he won't have quite the same explosiveness, but it doesn't matter because his arm and his mind are going to make up that difference, and he's able to do it all. So he's just getting started, to be honest with you. I know he's already done a lot. He's accomplished a lot, but 27 years old, he's not even close to calling it a career. And I think there's a couple Super Bowls on the way. There's definitely another MVP on the way at some point. And Lamar Jackson's a surefire Hall of Famer, and I couldn't be more proud that he's a Baltimore Raven, man. Last thing I wanted to touch on before we get out of here is this huge, exciting matchup that's coming up this Sunday between the Commanders and the Ravens. These are two close teams in proximity and location, I should say. And then obviously they're getting a lot of hype and comparisons right now because Jaden Daniels is hopping on the scene and balling, and he's getting a lot of Lamar Jackson comparisons and whatnot. But Jaden's definitely not on Lamar's level at this moment, nor should he be. No rookie should be at a level that Lamar's at right now. But shout out to the Commanders, man. They're having an incredible start to the season. I do think they're going to run into a buzzsaw. I mean, it's an NFC opponent. Lamar and the Ravens are 21-1 against NFC opponents. The Ravens also have a long history of just confusing rookie quarterbacks on defense, making them think and make a lot of mistakes because we're showing them so many different looks. They don't know what blitz is coming from where. There's just no way that a rookie has all those things figured out, and we continue to take advantage of that year after year. The Ravens have always done that. We seem to kind of own rookie quarterbacks. I'm not saying that we're going to completely shut the offense down. Our secondary is looking a little leaky right now, but the Commanders also don't have receivers like the Bengals have. And if you look at who has been beating the Ravens, it's been elite receivers. And I just feel like we can match up against their wide receivers. I mean, shout out Terry McLaurin. He is a dog, but he ain't Jamar Chase. He ain't even really T. Higgins, in my opinion. And the Ravens defense is very used to dealing with mobile quarterbacks. I mean, they practice and went through all of training camp practicing every day against Lamar Jackson in this Ravens offense. So it's not a surprise when another mobile quarterback is across from this defense. I just feel like we're going to be able to slow the Commanders down quite a bit, and the Ravens offense is going to continue to roll. We'll get into the game preview, a much more detailed predictions and things like that at the end of the week. But I'm not super concerned about the Commanders. I am excited for this matchup, but I think it's just getting a little too gassed up because Jaden Daniels and the Commanders are off to a hot start. But when you really understand football and realize it's a matchup game, and this just ain't the best matchup for the Commanders. You know, last week, it wasn't the best matchup for the Ravens secondary going against the Bengals passing offense. But this Commanders passing offense is not the Bengals passing offense. I'm sorry. I love what Jaden Daniels and them are doing, but the Ravens are going to be able to contain the Commanders offense. They're not going to go wild. I don't think it's going to be some crazy shootout. But we'll see. Never really know, I guess. You know, anything could happen. But that's it for today, guys. Let me know everything that you're thinking in the comments. Should we go get Davante Adams? You know, do you think he's coming to Baltimore? There's so many variables to that situation. I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And I will let Ray Lewis, the greatest linebacker in the history of the game, take you guys out.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.